He was seeing all these souls flitting around. All these souls were flitting around, and among them was Phoenician Dido, Reclines al Lumera. We had this recent from her wound. We might want to say fresh from her wound. Okay. And she was Erabat, wandering Sylvan Magna. Good. Why did I say Sylvan Magna? Why did I say it that way?
Because it's ablative.
Why did I Elision. Thank you, Caitlin. I alighted Silwa in. I said Sylvan Magna because of the elision there. Think about that if you had to scan a line. Right? She was wandering around in the big forest, and the Troyes Heros, Trojan hero, ut primum, as soon as he stood there, Yuxta, maybe like Yuxta Ilam, perhaps, near her, as soon as he stood there near her, and recognized her being obscurum per umbras, obscure through the shadows. And I don't know, I'm not sure what obscure means. Maybe here, it can come with something different. What does it mean to be obscure? Hidden, I think that's better. Let's get a little more physical metaphor in that. He saw her hidden through the shadows. You could say obscured. Obscured. I don't know that the person can really be obscured, but obscured. A qualem primo qui surgere mense ad viderat vidisse putat per nubila luna. And he says, I'll tell you what it was like. And why am I starting that sort of a translation? This is what it was like. Where am I getting that? The qualem, right? The sword, right? It's just like this, he says. He says, just like when someone either widet or putat vidisse, thinks that he has seen. He either sees or thinks to have seen. I'm going to come back on all the grammar there in a moment. The lunam surgere primo mense, rising at the primo mense, at the first of the month. In this case, it wouldn't so much be the first month. Even though primo is modifying mense, it's not just in January. But really, this can have the sense of at the first of. Just like the word medius. Middle can often mean middle of, right? So just as someone sees or thinks he has seen the moon rising at the first of the month through the nubila, through the clouds. Just the other night, it was almost a full moon, or was a full moon. I don't know if anybody looked up. Saw it, and beautiful. Yeah. And if you've ever seen a moon on a really neat cloudy night, particularly if the winds are blowing and so clouds are moving quickly, and you'll see the moon, and then clouds are over, and then it comes back out again, and so forth. He says, imagine, it's kind of like that, right? So here she is, and first it's like, whoa, was that what I thought it was? Was that Dido? I can't, we're going to tell those shadows. Oh yeah, it looks like her, and it's sort of like that. It's that wispy, phantom sort of thing. Somebody tell me, what kind of, what part of speech is vidisse? Good thinking. Why did you think pluperfect anything? Double S. Good. And if you thought pluperfect, you would have thought pluperfect which mood? You would have thought pluperfect subjunctive. Excellent. But it's not.
Fake ones. We always talk about that.
No. Well, what's not on the end there? There are no endings. What do you call something without ending? An infinitive.
That's the,
fancy. Yeah, fancy infinitive. No, it's just an infinitive. What kind? Perfect, good. John, perfect active infinitive. He either sees, actual with that, or thinks to have seen. Thinks to have seen. Okay? And so you get that little bit of doubt there, that little hesitation. So here's Aeneas. Dido comes out, Trojan hero saw her. As soon as he stood there and he recognized her kind of obscured through the shadows, just as one who sees or thinks to have seen the moon rising at the first of the month through the clouds. He demisit lacrimas.
He let down tears.
He let down tears. I love it. I love it. He let down tears. It was a really very active verb. You think about that. Mito, mitros, to what? He sent down tears, right? I mean, this is a very active thing. And dulci quod fatus amorast. And with dulci amore.
In love.
And with sweet love, he ad fatus est. Synonym for dicit. He addresses her. Or he addressed her, right? Perfect tense. He addressed her. Wow. A better epithet was never spoken. Infelix Dido, he calls her. Unlucky Dido. You poor schmuck. Now, it really isn't unlucky as in you poor schmuck. In Felix very often, Felix is the positive, can mean lucky, in Felix is the negative. But it very often has that sense of blessed by the gods. Again, all this kind of notion of luck is going to be tied with the gods in some way. And so, I don't know if I want to indulge at the moment to look at a bunch of different translations for in Felix, but I'd be interested to see what other people have done with that, because I don't think unlucky really carries the freight there. Verus mihi nuntius ergo venerat extinctam feroque extrema secutam, he says. He says, did a verus nuntius, a true or a real message, was it a real thing? Was it the truth that had venerat mihi? It's a good basic verb of motion. That had come to me. Unlucky Dido, was it a true message that had come to me? Extinctum, feroque extrema secutum, te, and a whole bunch of essays are implied. We've got an indirect statement here. The message had come that something. Okay? So the te is implied. All right? Extinctum esse, the esse is implied. Secutum esse is implied. Now, how do I know that it's te? And how do I know that there's essays here? How do I know all this? You tell me. Because I've done it before. That's right. That's right. At lunch, I went to Aeneadanswers.com. I quickly memorized all this. So it looked like I know I'm doing. You'd be surprised how often that goes.
No, I wasn't.
No, I'll tell you, I was looking up something about Marcellus earlier, which is going to come up in the 800s. I wanted to double check something. I did look that up. Well, all right, what form is extinctum and what form is secutum?
Accusative.
They're accusatives. Furthermore, you can tell from them they're accusatives, what, singular or plural?
Singular.
And what gender?
Feminine.
Feminine. So who's the only feminine around? Dido. Since he's talking to her, that has to be you, a form of two, and the accusative singular of two is te. So that's how I know the te is implied. Then these are from verbs, so I need infinitives here. Had a true message come to me that te extinctum esse?
That you destroyed.
That you, what's passive voice?
Oh, that you were destroyed.
That you were destroyed, that you were extinguished? Did I hear right? That you're dead. And that you secutum esse,
And that you followed.
and that you followed the extrema. follow the extremes, you follow the very utmost path with Pharaoh, with a sword. Of course, Pharaoh doesn't mean sword. Pharaoh means what? Iron or steel. So why do we say sword here? It's what it's made of, yeah. It's what it's made of, and I would say it's not synecdoche, but the other one.
It's like part of the
Autonomy?
Autonomy, yeah, part of the whole.
Yeah. The synecdoche is like lending your ears.
Right.
Each
Part
class.
of the whole, exactly right. Now, I feel like mocking it, I always have. I mock it in first year when we do the little kiddie version of it. I mock it in AP when we do the real thing. I've told you before, come to like Aeneas, I love him, I love the story, you know, years now. I've been converted to this, I like it. This has to be one of the stupidest lines that a character on film or in a book has ever uttered. Where is he? He's in the underworld. Karen has already made a big deal about the fact that he's a living person and was all upset about Theseus and Perithous and Hercules and so forth. So if he sees Dido, pretty sure she's dead. So why the question? Did I hear right? Are you dead?
Extreme denial.
But you say no.
No.
Even though you know the answer,
Okay.
you're just like, I need something to start.
Okay. Danielle's on it. She says you just need something to start the conversation. We'll share something with everybody tomorrow because I'm going to bring something in for everybody to sign tomorrow. How many of you know Mrs. Washington, who always goes on state convention with us? She works over computing services. She used to work just with our department, and then as computing services got bigger, she went over there. And their son Adam, who is doing his dissertation right now, his PhD in physics. So it kind of tells you about his age. But I had Adam. Mrs. Washington's husband passed away on Friday evening, completely unexpected. He had suffered from diabetes, and very recently, just a few days ago, I'd asked her, and she said he was doing better. And apparently, she went home on Friday and I guess found him dead of a heart attack. So tomorrow, because she has meant so much to Latin Club and everything, we are going to, they don't want flowers, but I'm going to bring a card or something, we're going to have everybody sign. But Saturday night, I got the call from Mrs. Rogers, the department chair. And so I called Mrs. Washington. And the first words out of my mouth were equally stupid because there's how else do you start this conversation? I said, how are you? How are you doing? I mean, I know how she's doing. Her husband died less than 24 hours before. She's not good, okay? But how else do you start a conversation? And so while I have mocked this with Aeneas over the years, I think when you look at it in that mature way, yeah, that's what this is. Why he's not asking for real information, like literally, are you dead? No, it's just yeah. And how do you express in hexameters? Right? I mean, you got to put some. Virgil, the author, has got to put something, right? Right? So you can, but you know that it's so. You're exactly right. I think Daniel, you nailed it. And then he asks the question, which, again, certainly first year I tend to mock it. This one, I don't know. I don't know if this is more the same thing or if this is a legitimate question. He asks her, "Funerus, heu tibi causa fui?" What does he ask her? That's good. First year concept. We can figure that.
Was I the cause?
Yeah. Was I the cause of your death? And he puts in this "heu," alas, sort of interjection. Was I the cause of your death? And I think there's so many ways to interpret that. I think that's one of the things that makes we talk about translation a lot, but I think acting is so interesting. I think performance of written music is interesting because a performer, a conductor, a director has this work, all right? So maybe it's notes on the page, maybe it's a script from the script writer. But then you've got to direct your people. How do you interpret this? How do you play this? Is this deep, deep guilt and, oh man, I don't want to really ask this question, but because I've got this really dark, sneaking suspicion that the answer is yes, but I've got to ask it anyhow. Did I do this? Is it a legitimate, purely open? Holy mackerel, you're dead. What happened? Did I do it? I mean, was I there? You know, again, I could see it played in multiple different ways. Rachel.
I was just gonna say that I thought it sounded like it was more so him, like he was saying that he felt rather than possibly dead.
You think so?
Like she said she was gonna kill herself, but he didn't believe it.
This is true. This is true. You're right, because she had said it. She told him up front. And early on in that rambling speech of hers, I don't know that anybody would have really picked up on it. She didn't say it so bluntly. She said something about one who will not long be here, or some vague thing. What was that?
They're pretty blunt a couple times near the end.
Towards the end, she did. But, so yeah, I don't know. Then he says, "Per sidera euro, per superos, et siqua fides tellure subimast, invitus regina, tuo delitore cesi." All right, per means through, but it can also mean by. And I think here it's more in the sense of by. By the sidera, by the stars, I euro. I swear. By the superos. By the gods. Thank you, Caitlin. In what sense can superos mean deos? The people above. Literally the people above. And we've had that before. Again, think about all these ways to express things, right? What have we had? We've had certainly dei. We've had superi a lot. Since book 1, he's been using superi. We've even had the interesting kaili kolai, inhabitants of the sky. So you've got all these different ways to say this.
Is that sky dwellers?
Sky dwellers. And then, of course, dei often syncopated, right, into D, and so forth. So again, you're thinking about how Virgil does things. You want to think about these alternate expressions. He says, by the stars, I swear, by the gods. And si aliqua. Where's the ali coming from?
Something nisine ali.
There it is. After si nisi numene, ali takes a holiday. It's really aliqua. And he says, if there is aliqua fides, if there's any, I'll give it to you in the bottom. Faith, it can, by extension, can mean pledge. Basically, if there's anything that I could swear by, sub ima tellure, or sub ima terra, if you prefer. Below the ima earth. Ah, here's a good one for you. Emus is what degree adjective and from what positive degree form? Minimac. Superlative. It's an irregular superlative from
Inversus.